Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm T with Teresa H Creates, and I'm going to continue working on my Cabinet of Curiosities junk journal in this video. So obviously I've decorated the cover. It was pretty simple. I wanted it to look like a cabinet when it opened, so this paper was perfect since it has what appears to be shelving with all the different elements. And then I wanted just some decorative pieces on the sides because I didn't want to mix too much of this type of paper on the cover itself. And then on the back side, I used this wonderful collage paper. Now, I did rough up the back side of these papers. So I took the Tim Holtz paper distresser and I went ahead and distressed the edges of this and then inked them up. I also tore some pieces and did kind of a wood grain stencil in the torn areas. I haven't inked it up further, but I need to do that still, just ink up the edges. On the inside though, I did keep it nice and clean. I didn't rough that up because it's the inside of the cabinet and I figured it was a lot more protected. So today we're going to continue with the cover. I do need to go ahead and attach the closure for it. This is what it looks like closed. Isn't that adorable? So I did end up using the Curiosities cabinet sign that I had seen on that paper when I was originally going through what I had. And I also added that washi tape, that fabric washi, to the outside of the journal. Let's go ahead and attach the closure. I'm a little bit nervous about this. I've never used this type of closure, even though I have a million of them. So this is the Tim Holtz closure, and I'm assuming that it goes something like this. And I'm kind of wanting to line it up with that butterfly, the body of it. Then it will flip over to close. And I think that that'll be kind of a nice little cabinet latch. And I like the look of that. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do now. Let's see. This is the part that is going to go on this side. My preferred adhesive for metal bits is Glossy Accents. I used to do a lot of assemblage and mixed media work, and Glossy Accents was my go-to as far as attaching metal bits to anything. I still have some of those pieces and they are still definitely going strong, so I know that it's tried and true. I'm going to go ahead and place some of this Glossy Accents. It does dry clear, but it does give a hard enamel finish. When it dries, it is shiny, as the name suggests, Glossy Accents. So I'm going to go ahead and place it where I think it ought to go. And then press down for just a moment and allow it to attach really well. I also pulled out some brads that I'll place later once it's dry to really hold it together. It does dry pretty quickly, but I don't want to risk it because this is my cover. So I don't want to move it around too much. Let me go ahead and I don't know the best way to do this. I want to make sure that it definitely lines up and I'm not going to pull anything in the end. So let's see. Maybe if I put a clamp on this. Go ahead and line this up. Make sure it's in the right spot. And then I'm going to put this little bulldog clip on the bottom here. There we go. To hold it together. Because I do want to make sure that this lines up properly. It does look like I'm going to have to be right on the edge of that. So I'm going to give it a try doing it this way and see if it'll work. Because I don't want it to pull so much that it causes those ends to overlap. All right. I'm going to hold it for a second again to make sure that it is down. I've had these closures in my stash for a really long time, and this is the first time using one. I'm going to set this aside and allow this to dry completely while we move on. I really like the way that cover turned out. I'm very happy with it. All right, now I'm still working on signatures. So I have the order that I want them to be in the journal, but I need to go in and start organizing them a little bit better and adding kind of the fluff pages, the journal pages. So I have a lot of these printed tea dye papers ready to go. And then also some of my coffee dyed papers here ready to go. They're cut down to size. And then I do have a couple of these ledger pages that I'm going to add in. This one's a grid. but then this one's a ledger, and I'm going to add those in somewhere. Some of the signatures are a little bit thinner, and I'd like to bulk them up just a little bit more. So I decided that when you open it up, instead of starting on the left and turning pages this way, that I was going to make it a little bit disorienting because it is a cabinet of curiosities. So it should be a little bit disconcerting. And so I wanted it to start in the opposite direction. So that's the way the journal is going to start. And I ended up deciding that I was going to use those seashells after all. So we open your cabinet. We've got our nice, lovely opening page here. It's the shelf of curiosities. And then I've got the jars with all the crustaceans and sea creatures. And then I have these pages with the seashells, and then this one here. And I have a few of these types of pages that I need to connect. There are several ways that you connect pages like this, and one of them is with a pattern paper. Another one is to use washi tape. But on this particular journal, I think I'm going to use bits of mulberry paper. So let me go ahead and place my mulberry paper. I think I want the textured side to be the visible side. I'm going to go ahead and use my art glitter glue to attach these. And I'm going to go in roughly center. And then the same on this side. Go in roughly center. There we go. I am going to leave a little bit of a gap between them because I do want it to fold. So there is a small gap there. And then I'm going to go over the top with another one of these mulberry papers. And let's see. There is a smoother side and then there is more of a fibrous side. And so I want the actual textured side, the one that's a little bit more fibrous on the outside, just to add texture. I'm going to go ahead and burnish this down. I'm going to allow this to dry for a second. And while that's drying, let's go ahead and build up more of these. I think I'm going to use one of these in this section because this is a really thin section. Let's go ahead and add one of each of these types in here to kind of bulk this up. It just needs a little extra. And then here and here. And then this page we just glued together will be our center. It bends right down that gap that we left in those two pages. And I'm going to trim this up. I don't know yet if I really want that completely trimmed up or if I want it poking out on the ends. So I'm going to leave a little bit of it showing, and this will dry. Hopefully it'll dry clear. So this sticks out a lot further, you'll notice that, but it's because a lot of the pages are 12 by 12. So when I fold them in half, they're only going to go as 6 inches. So there's still an inch left in the journal, but I can go back later and add more to these ends if I needed to, or I can trim up this paper that's really sticking out there if I need to. And this already feels a lot bulkier, which is good. All right, and then here are our bugs, and let's see what's going on here. I think that I need to add a wash, maybe a tea wash to that, a tea wash to that. This is a partial page. This looks good. This is good. And then these are extra pages. And then this is a page that I need to attach similar to the other one. I think I'm going to use a different colored mulberry on this one. I might use my tape rather than my glue. It will be stitched in, so hopefully I won't have any problems with that. Okay. So here's a slip of mulberry paper that I have. It's just a scrap piece, and I'm using just the ruler to measure this out, 1 inch, and then tearing, and then again 1 inch, and then I'm going to give it a tear. And then I've got to decide how do I want this? And I think we'll go this direction. That looks good. So let's try tape on this one and see how that works. All right, I'll leave a little bit of a gap. This paper is actually a little bit taller than the other, and I think I might have actually gotten tape on the outside of this. I did. So let me rub off the excess tape that I've got here. I'm glad that that rubs off pretty easily. All right. And now the piece right down the center, I'm just going to go 1 and 1. There we go. Then I'm going to use the smoother side on this. And I'm still going to give it a good burnish. And then we are going to, I don't have to wait on this to dry, so we're going to go ahead and fold it up. And again, I'm going to leave this a little bit longer than it should. I may go back and cut it flush later, but for now, we're going to leave it a little bit longer. On this one, I ended up doing a shorter fold because I wanted this entire image to be visible. And I think what I'm going to do is maybe something like this and fold this over, or maybe, yep, we'll do it like this and fold over. That's how we're going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and find the center point here. I'm going to fold right down the center. I'm going to burnish. And then let's see, how do we want to do that? I really like this green bit with all these brightly colored butterflies and beetles. That looks nice. Okay, here we go. So I've just got to figure out how I want to do this. I'm going to go right down this edge with my tape runner. And I'm going to get this to line up just right. Here we go. That looks fantastic. I don't know, I may not need to do anything. I may go in later and put something over this to kind of cover where those meet, but I don't know, I may not need to. All right, let's see how many pages we have in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so then let's add 2 journaling spots. That's something right in here. And then we'll add another one right in here. So now we've got 12. And I'm intentionally allowing these signatures to be different sizes. So that is, I'm fine with that. So that's 2 signatures down. We don't have to work on all of these together. Now that you've kind of got an idea of how I'm going to go through and put these signatures together, I'm going to show you the rest of them, but I'm not going to keep assembling. You've got the idea. So this is what I'm going to go through and do with all of them, but I ended up with 7 signatures. So I do have my seashells and my sea life. I have the bugs, and then I moved on to birds. So I have a whole section on birds, and then we have the botanicals and the fungi. And then we have our elixirs, anatomy, and then our occult stuff. I'll continue to attach papers using that mulberry paper and then working in these journaling bits. But let's go ahead and go back to the cover and do more prep work on it now that I think that it's dry. I'm hoping it's dry. All right, let's go ahead and unlatch it. I'm gonna pop this off. Let's go into my bookbinding tools, and I've got my awl out, and I want to go ahead and pierce the cover and add those brads. And these holes are a bit smaller, so I did have to select the brads that have a little bit of a smaller post there so that they'll fit through those holes. And then here, and then final one. I think this closure is going to be perfect for it. There we go. And then I've got a little bit of cushion here. I'm going to go ahead and give these a press to make sure those are down really nice. There we go. It is on. How exciting. All right. And now I have the brads with the larger posts because these holes are much larger on this side. All right. Let's work these in. I really like the way this is coming together so far. Very happy with it. There we go. All right, again, let me make sure these are all facing the correct direction so that I don't have them sticking off the edge of the journal. Here we go. We're finally getting some cooler weather here. Got some nice rainstorms blow through. I love being in my studio when it's cloudy and rainy outside. I get energized and really excited. So what I will have to do is at some point when I'm further along, I will come back and put something over this to cover it so that number one, it doesn't scratch up my signatures, and number two, it's just a little bit of extra security there to make sure that it stays put. And then this is what it is going to look like when it's all closed up. Lovely. So this is kind of, some of these pages are too long at the moment, but this is what it's going to look like. And as you can see, once they're in, there'll be a lot of space. So if I hold them flat, there's still tons of space. But once I've got them sewn in and they're spread out and all the ephemera has been added and all the pockets and flips and things, it's going to be full. It's definitely going to be a full journal. Okay, so let's go ahead and make our holes for our binding. I'm going to have to be very careful with that one because I do want them to line up, but they're going to be on both sides. So I need to make sure that they are spaced properly. So what I've done here, I've got 7 signatures. This is a little bit of a file folder that I had left over as scrap. I wanted something a little bit sturdier to do this than paper. And I went ahead and cut it to the 7 1/4 height. And then the spine is 3 3/4. I don't measure. I like using the folding method. So I folded it in half and then folded it in half again. And then I took each of those sections and folded those in half. So I've got kind of a nice accordion style fold going on here. And so that ended up giving me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spots. So I've got room for each signature. I'm going to go ahead and mark this top. I'm going to mark this B for bottom so that I know the correct orientation. All right. And then let's take a look at our signatures. So let's see how many of these I'm going to punch. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 signatures on this side, and then 1, 2, 3, 3 signatures on this side. The 4 smaller signatures are here. The 3 larger signatures are on this side. So knowing that I'm going to have to start from here, let's go ahead and number these. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So on this side, I'm going to punch 1, 3, 5, and 7. Now I'm going to do the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So what I'm going to do is fold this in half, and then I'm going to fold this down and fold this down. And then let's see, I think that I want them a little bit closer to the top. So I'm going to fold this down again. And I'm going to fold this section again. I really like my folded method. Okay, so that's a little bit better looking to me spatial wise. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3. And those will be those will be my spots rather than these middle sections here. I like that a little bit better. So where these creases have intersected, that's where my signature spots will be. I'm going to go ahead and go in and start poking those holes, and I'll speed this part up. And this is just my method. I just like using the folding method because the math doesn't always math for me. But if you are wanting it all to be very exact and you want to use measurements and a ruler, then you do that. Have fun. So let me line this up, and I'm going to place this down, and then I'm going to use a bit of mint tape to hold it in place so it's not moving around while I'm poking all of these holes. This is a low-tack tape, so it's not going to tear my paper. And let me go ahead and get it attached here. There we go. Let me close this up again just to make sure. Okay, yep, it's right in the center. 1, 3, 5, and 7 for my 4 signatures. 1, 3, 5, and 7. 1, 3, 5, and 7. Perfect. All right, let me remove this. Okay, the one started here at the top, and so I'm wanting these to be spaced perfectly. So I'm going to flip this over to the back side here. Things that I typically don't have to think about with other journals. So let me go ahead and put this down. Make sure that that's centered. It is. All right, so we've got 1 through 7 here. Let me go ahead and mark this because I'm going to do 2, 4, and 6. Are you guys confused yet? All right, 2, 4, 6, and again, last row, all right, that is it. Good deal. Now we've got our binding punched. So I'm going to continue working on my signatures, and then I'll use the 3-hole pamphlet stitch to go ahead and stitch in my signatures. And in the next video, we'll come back and start adding all of our flips and our flaps and our pockets and our ephemera and get it really decorated nice and full, and also get our first look at how this journal looks when it opens up, because those signatures are going to be layered one on top of the other. So I can't wait to see what that looks like. I'm a little bit nervous about it, but also a little bit excited. If you have any questions, please put it down in the comments section. I'll be sure to reply. Let me know what you think so far. Let me know if you think that this is going to work or not, or if it's going to be incredibly awkward. It could be a little bit of both. Thanks for spending some time with me, and until next time, bye.